Happy March, everybody. We have just wrapped up February 2026 and the latest market stats are in. For us here in Nova Scotia, it feels like we came out of Snowmageddon, and I know that it's been the same with most of Canada. So in this video, we will dissect the latest market stats and see how the weather affected everything. My name is Zach Surette, and I am a real estate agent in the city of Halifax and Halifax Regional Municipality. And welcome to my very first edition of monthly market stats on Halifax Home Guide. Okay, so before we get started on nerding out on all these statistics, if you are planning a move this year and you want to pick my brain, you can click the first link in the description below this video and book a 30-minute phone call with me. So for the purpose of this video, I focus specifically on single-family homes, whether it's detached, semi-detached, or townhouse, as well as condos. And as far as averages goes, there's really two ways that we're going to look at the data. First would be taking into consideration the last 12 months leading up to the end of February. And secondly, we'll just focus on what happened in that specific month. So we'll start off with the total number of sales, which came in at 266, which is actually down by 15% compared to the same month last year. But it is actually up from 12% compared to last month. And as far as year-to-date sales go, it is now up to 489. Now let's look at the total number of new listings that hit the market. For the month of February 2026, the total of new listings that came to market was 392, which is down from 424 for the same month last year and down from 419 compared to last month. This brings the total number of new listings year to date 811. Now, if you are a seller, you're probably very interested in this next stat, which is the average showings per listing. In the last month, that average was 5.1 showings per listing, which is down from 5.6 for the same month last year. Now, let's look at the average sale price. Starting with the year-over-year price, which compounds the last 12 months of sales data, which actually rose by 3.6% compared to last year, bringing the average sale price to $613,807. Now, if we look at all of these sales that happened just in February, the average sale price is actually slightly lower at $608,750. Now, if you compare it to the same month last year, it's actually up by only about $1,000, so not really a whole lot has changed there. And compared to last month, it's actually up by 4.2%. This is a little bit unusual because, at least for the last 3 years, prices were actually higher in January than February, which is not the case this year. Moving on to the average days on market, looking at the last 12 months data would actually bring us to an average of 37 days on market. This is up from 39 compared to the same month last year, but down 55 compared to last month. So at the beginning of this video, I talked about the total number of sales and number of new listings, but what about the inventory? As of March 1st, that sits at 914. Now we are going to look at the list to sale ratio, which is essentially an average on how much of the asking price homes sell for. Looking at the year-over-year data, we would currently be sitting at 99.3% list to sale ratio. Looking at just the month of February, it's slightly lower at 98.6%, which is down by 1% compared to the same month last year, but up 1.3% compared to last month, which brings us to the months of inventory. So months of inventory is basically if you were to sell all of the properties that are on the market at the current selling rate with no new listings hit the market, how long would it take for you to sell all of those listings? And we are currently sitting at 2.6 months of inventory, which is up from 2.3 compared to the same month last year, but is the same compared to last month. We use this metric to determine what type of market we were in, whether it's a seller's market, balanced, or buyer's market. The theoretical threshold from going from a seller's market into a balanced market is about 4 months. So looking at the overall data, technically we are still in a seller's market, but we were heading towards a balanced market. But I realize that that might not be the same compared to which price point you are at. Now, the final metric we are going to look at is actually a question that I get asked a lot about by both buyers and sellers. and that is how many homes are still selling for over or at asking price. So let's start at asking. Out of the 266 sales that happened, 29 of them sold right at asking price, which would be 11% of the total amount. Not bad. Now, when we look at over asking, out of the 266 sales, that amount is 65, which is 24%, so almost a quarter, and is slightly higher compared to last month. So I think this is a sign that there are more buyers that are entering the market, at least in the last month. However, the listing inventory was probably a little bit slower, and that is mostly due to the weather. Nobody really wants to take photos of their yard when there is like 2 feet of snow. And that concludes my first edition of Monthly Market Stats, this one for February 2026. If you like this video or like this type of content and want to see more of it, you can hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And lastly, I have to ask you for one more favor. That is, please subscribe to my channel. It will really help get this channel off the ground and help me grow. If you are looking to purchase a condo, definitely check out this video below.